Yeah. Cammy points out we do have to be out of here before 4 because there's a meeting that's being set up for at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So we'll wrap up a few minutes early today.
Oh, there's there too.
Great. Hi, Eric.
Okay, good afternoon. It is 2:33 on Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, and this is the meeting of the Sandpoint Parks Rec Commission, and it is now called to order. For the record, I am the Vice Chairwoman, Gwen Victorson, presiding in the City Council chambers at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street, Sandpoint, Idaho. And commissioners present, Eric Donefeld, Gwen Victorson, Jessica Jansen, Josh DeLucci, Dan Taddick, Tyler Warner, and Wagner, sorry. And then absent, right now we have Taylor Long and Heidi Bohall and Lori Simers. Is that correct? I'm gonna double check my own. Looks correct to me. Okay, perfect. We will now proceed with the approval of the minutes from the commissioners' last meeting. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on July 9th, 2025.
Moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve and a second. And any opposed on Zoom? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and the motion passes. So under old business, we have the James E. Russell Sports and Projects and Parks Project update.
Sure. I will give you all an update on what's going on at Travers, what's going on at the beach, and where we are with project scoping for next year. So let's start at Travers. Ryan's obviously in month 3 almost, June, July, August, month 3 of basically running the sports center. I'll let him give an update on operations in a minute, but from a parks project standpoint, pretty much done with the sports center. I think all our punch list items are now checked off. We've overcome all of our HVAC struggles and the air pressure struggles. We found out the AC wasn't working in the lobby for months and now it's working again. Anybody who's been in there knows that the door's closed now. There was months where the doors were being blown open by the positive air pressure. The technicians came out and adjusted the air pressure so the doors closed. We thought we were going to have to do an expensive replacement of the doors in that building. So we had latching doors. Turns out it was just an air pressure issue. It's all been fixed. So things going really well from a project standpoint. The last remaining thing we're going to do, not really related to the original scope of the project, but the HVAC unit out back is disturbing one of the neighbors. When it clicks on early in the morning to cool the building down, the way it works is it actually sucks cooler air in when the air temperature outside is cooler than it is inside. And that's why it doesn't, it cools down in that building overnight because it pulls in air from the outside. But that process creates a few hours early in the morning where it's a little bit louder than the neighbors like. So we're going to have our fence contractor who's coming to put the batting cages in the next few weeks, give us a quote for enlarging that fence, and then we'll put some soundproofing on the fence that surrounds the HVAC unit out back. I'm fairly certain that will please the neighbors. It'll at least be a gesture showing that we're doing everything we can to reduce the noise impact. It's one neighbor who lives right by the back of the building there. So that's the project. Outside of the building, we've got the batting cages, which the parks guys have they poured a concrete retaining wall and a pathway to the entrance to the batting cages. The batting cages are all in our, they're brand new, state of the art, huge improvement over the old chain link fences we had there. They are in the storage shed at the building. And when we finish by the end of this week grading the pad, the fence contractors are going to come in and pour the footers for the poles that actually hold the batting cages up. It's more like a batting tunnel. There's a pulley system. You pull up the nets and then they can be taken down in the off season. But those will be done, within a month. They'll be in the ground, ready to use. We've got 2 rolls of 70-foot long turf. So these are going to be turf batting cages that look really sharp. Super nice. Full size, 20 feet longer than the old batting cage. So super excited for that. Just today, we selected a contractor for the concrete foundation pad. Our building official did urge us to go with a licensed concrete contractor to pour the pad for the picnic shelter. I solicited several quotes, got a good one, local professional. We're working up a contract with him. So hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have him all ready to go to pour the foundation for the picnic shelter. Off-site, the picnic shelter is actually being assembled and prefabricated basically by the timber framers. We can't go vertical on that until we have engineered drawings for that. I'm gonna ask Dan for some help on that too. We got engineering done. HMH donated engineering for the pad itself, but we now need calculations and engineering for the shelter, which Pete, our building official, requires before he'll issue a building permit for that. It's a good thing to have because we want that thing to be there for 30, 40 years, and it's going to hold a lot of snow and have to put up with a lot of wind, and it's quite large. So if you are at the park, you can actually see where it's going to go. We've painted the outline of where the pad's going to be poured, right at the entrance to the playground. So very cool. Our goal is to have that done by October 4th, which is our new grand opening date for the sports center and the playground. Another really cool project that Maeve has been working on kind of on the side, which is going to happen for sure now because we've gotten a sponsor to fully fund it, is that Bourne Learning Trail. Did we talk about that at the previous meeting? I don't know if we did. Very, very small, little nice thing that's going to happen in the playground there is United Way of North Idaho has this program that they've done in a few cities. Coeur d'Alene has one, Shoshone County has one in their county park in Kellogg, I think. It's called a Bourne Learning Trail, and it's basically an interpretive educational trail that's going to surround the playground. So it comes with 5 signs that are really meant to like stimulate creative thought and learning among young children. And then on the asphalt path that the signs are next to are going to be little interactive games and challenges they can do. So it's going to start in the southwest corner of the playground and go on that west side of the playground around between the playground and the ball fields, and then end where that path reconnects with the main fire lane path that goes around the building itself. So I just met with them out there yesterday, I think, or the day before. And at the same time, Vanessa Vasquez at the library got the board for the East Montana Library to approve sponsoring that. So they're going to donate the $5,000 to install that for us. So it won't cost the city anything to put that little interpretive trail in around the playground. It's gonna be super cool. So that will also be done in September sometime as well. So save the date. We're hoping to have, we're definitely having an event on October 4th at Traverse Park. United Way will be there, Rotary will be there. We'll have membership signups for the sports center. We do a ribbon cutting on the playground. We're going to hopefully have, at the very least, we'll have the pad for the shelter poured. We may not have our building permits have it vertical by then, but we'll be able to at least show where it's going to go soon after. The final thing we probably won't have installed by then is the shade structure for the skate park. That PO has been approved. It's being manufactured offsite right now. It's going to be, when I say manufactured, they're doing a custom paint job for the poles because it's going to match the color scheme over the playground. But that 15 by 30 foot shade structure has been ordered. I don't have an arrival date yet. And if it arrives after October 1st, we probably won't install it this year. We'll probably wait till spring to put that up. But that's the final kind of piece of improvements to Traverse Park this year. So a lot going on over there. Any questions about Traverse? Got dates for other projects too.
I was just curious about the baseball nets on the fields 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're in the storage shed there. There's no need to put them up because there's no baseball this spring. But
So we received them. At the
yeah,
end of
the
the
poles
season.
are in. They'll be ready to put up for the next baseball season.
I had a group ask about the old playground equipment from Travers. Is that-
All that can be is, no, we've kept what was reusable, and that
Okay.
includes a few features that are gonna go in at City Beach. So
Okay.
the swing set and 1 or 2 of like the ground features that
Yeah.
weren't damaged, the climbing boulders were all cracked.
Yep.
Not visible to people who are using them, but when we took them down, they had cracks in them, they're not safe to reinstall. So none of that's available because anything that was usable is gonna go back in at City Beach when our parks guys get the chance to put it in.
On the October 4 event, is it possible from somebody from the city or Ryan, perhaps somebody could send out like a calendar invite to the people on this commission when they know the details of that, including the dates and the times, so people can officially get it on their calendars.
There is still one left with Wednesday night for the rates. Kind of shouldn't be a hang up, but I
Mhm.
don't want to send out
Mhm.
hard and fast until we have all of our ducks.
And then the commission can all be present.
Absolutely, it'd be great, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have our Parks and Rec, table apron things that we can put out. It'd be cool to have like commissioners representing that table maybe throughout the day where people can come up and learn about, Parks and Rec in the city. Before we go to operations of the sports center, I'll move over to City Beach, where our next fairly large capital project is planned. Just last week, council accepted for officially accepted by resolution, the RV fund grant for $950,000. The mayor signed that. We've mailed it off to the Idaho Department of Parks and Rec. That's a $1 million project. We've got a $50,000 match from our capital improvement fund. There, you'll recall that the other grant we applied for was the Waterways Improvement Fund grant, $600,000 for the parking lot. To try to get us, you know, a big chunk of that parking lot redone at City Beach. Totally understandably, Department of Parks and Rec denied that grant because they basically looked at the images of our parking lot and said, well, there's only spaces for 10 boat trailers there. We're not going to use, you know, all this money allocated for boat projects for something that is obviously serving more than just boaters. Fair, totally get it. But they said, look, we'll give you 105,000. That's what we have left. So we thought about it. Maeve and I talked about it. The mayor and I talked about it. Before they would release the 105,000, they wanted to see like conceptual renderings of what we're going to do with it. We don't have that. So we decided to reject that $105,000 because it required a $100,000 match from our Parks Capital Improvement Fund. So what I've discussed with the mayor, with Maeve, what I'm planning to do right now is to take the 100, and I want to run this by you guys, hear your thoughts. Take the 100,000 where we're going to put towards a match for the WIF grant to do something at the parking lot. We don't know what we're going to do with it. We thought maybe we could start in stormwater, do some shade trees or something. And rather put that $100,000 into the scope of work for design and engineering for the RV park, but add that 100,000 to get design and engineering for the parking lot included in that scope of work. So that we have bid ready documents, so that when we have the money, we don't have to go through the whole design and engineering process. We, in the next 6 months, will go through the public engagement, we'll work with a designer and an engineer, we'll present concepts to city council. And by the time we have an RV park plan ready to put out to bid to contractors, we will also have a parking lot plan ready to put out to bid. The reason that's beneficial is the grantors love to see that we have a bid ready plan. That's a big reason we didn't get the money from the WIF grant. Like, well, what are you gonna do with it? Like, we don't really know yet. We're gonna figure it out. Well, now we'll have it figured out, so we can put that 100,000 towards the design and engineering for a total parking lot, not a new parking lot, just rebuilding the parking lot that's there, but also some specific improvements that we want to see. Better traffic flow. One of the things I absolutely want to see is a bus turnaround and drop off point near the entrance to the parking lot. So we've talked about that internally with our public works team. Eric and Holly weighed in. One concept is having sort of a roundabout after you pull into the parking lot, so you can turn around and drop people off or pick people up without driving all the way in. We all know that the crawling traffic through that parking lot is a nightmare. I mean, paid parking is probably going to help with that, definitely going to help with that. But having a turnaround where either parents could drop the kids off or pick the kids up, or in the future, maybe even a spot bus can get in and drop people off. There's not currently a spot bus stop near the City Beach, but we would love to see that in the future. And with paid parking revenues, I know City Council is super motivated to expand spot bus service downtown. But currently, there's no real convenient place for a bus to drop people off. at City
And
Beach.
she came, right, and expressed interest in doing that.
Dawn's been at like every city council
Yep.
meeting for the last 6 months because they successfully received additional funding from the city, but that's to maintain their existing routes.
Right.
With future paid parking revenue, I know council is interested in expanding those routes. And what better use for paid parking revenue than to expand, transportation that doesn't require a car, that's free for Sandpoint residents to get into town. So I wanted to run that by you. What are your thoughts on taking the $100,000 that we were going to put towards a grant that we weren't sure what we were going to do with, and put it towards design and engineering for a parking lot so we have bid ready documents, so that when the time comes, and hopefully this will be next year, and I'll tell you another update that makes me hopeful that this will be next year. We'll be ready to go out and just get a contractor to do the parking lot project.
The good thing about it is it adds certainty to your estimate, what you're asking for in your grant. You have bid ready plans, you know exactly how many square yards of asphalt, linear feet of curb, how many catch basins, all that, like. But now you can have an idea, but you're still kind of throwing the dart at the dartboard, so it gives you some sort.
Well, this is the kind of work HMH does. Are there savings to be had by doing these two design projects together?
Would it likely be the same person that bids on would it be the same company that would do the?
For the design, yes, we would want one design and engineering firm to do the design and engineering for both the RV park and the parking. And obviously there's opportunities for like synergy and overlap between
Sure.
those, right? We may say there needs to be a new exit from the RV park over on the east side of the RV park or the south side of the RV park. Right now, I honestly, even though we manage it, I don't really know how people get 25-foot trailers in and out of that RV park. I can't imagine the number of like, these turns you'd have to make to back a trailer out of one of those spots. So maybe having an exit that comes out through the parking lot might make sense or something.
Dan, does it seem like that's something that costs $105,000?
It could.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on the scope of, what are you including? Are you including lighting? Are you including landscaping? Survey
To be
done?
clear, you're saving $100,000 just for the design and engineering.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Cause that's what you're saying, like you want us to move 105,000,
100,000.
100.
Yeah, the 105 was what the IDPR was offering.
Oh, gotcha.
100,000.
100 was the match, yeah.
I mean, from a civil standpoint, I don't think that's 100,000, but if you add in survey, if you add in electrical, if you add in landscape and all those disciplines, I mean, 20 grand, 20 grand, 20 grand, that's probably where you get.
Stormwater.
Yeah. I lump that in with the civil aspect, but I don't know what's happening with stormwater there right now. Is everything just kind of sheeting?
There's
into
that
the
swale
lake,
between the
basically?
RV park and it retains some of it, but a lot of it goes straight into pipes and straight out. There's no treatment.
Josh got a question up there.
Oh,
JD,
thank you, yeah.
Hey, yeah, I was actually gonna ask a similar question about the cost. But since Gwen already asked that, I guess my question would be, what's the cost for the RV design and engineering? And is that already part of the $1 million project, or is this in addition to?
yeah, no, the $1 million for the RV park included in that scope is design and engineering for the RV park. So the 100,000 of CIP funds would just go towards design and engineering for the parking lots that we are ready to go with the parking lot when the money comes. And maybe I'll mention where that money's likely to come from. The hotel is moving forward. When we issue their building permits, they're going to be paying parking in lieu fees because they reduced the number of parking spaces below what was required in our code. Depending on when they get their building permits, applications in, that's going to be either 400,000 or $1 million in parking in lieu fees. If it's $1 million of parking in lieu fees, that pay for the construction of parking.
So they're really trying to get their application in quickly.
They got a fire under their butts right now. Because our in lieu fee goes up October 1st from $10,000 per space to from $10,000 to $25,000 per space.
Wow.
And they've reduced it by 40 spaces. So that's the difference between 400,000 and $1 million. So, yes, Katie, we have members of the public here. It's up to the chair. Do you welcome comments from members of the public?
Sure. Just had a quick sort of remembering being on the waterfront committee. There was a design that was, I know it was conceptual, but a design for a roundabout in that design. And it did, I think, go through the hotel and was approved at that point through conversations.
Yeah, now that you mention it, there was this I'm not sure if it was a physical roundabout or like a decorative. Do you remember? I think it was like,
I think it was a physical roundabout because they were talking about the same things, like as you drop off kids being able to come, drop off
Yeah.
and loop around.
Yeah.
So I would just say, look back. You
yeah,
might
no,
provide the engineer with those drawings.
that conceptual rendering from the design report will be included in the request for qualifications that we put out as one of the guiding documents.
Okay, great.
Was that in the preferred, like the team that had the preferred?
Yeah.
The waterfront
Yeah.
teams.
Yep. Yep.
So is this something that would be considered new business then? Like you're looking for a vote or?
There's nothing to vote on. I think this is the direction we're going. I just wanted to keep you guys up to date on this and get any feedback you.
I'd be curious, what we're robbing from, if we're gonna put it there where you might have potential funding coming $400 to $1 million.
So
What are we gonna do?
where our budget's written right now is we've got $300,000 from Parks Capital Improvement Fund. 150 of that is a match in the budget. It's articulated as a match for the RB grant. 150,000 is described for Parks Master Plan identified projects, which is very vague. That's anything in our CIP. That's anything from our existing Parks Master Plan or the previous Parks Master Plan that this commission decides they want to prioritize.
Mhm.
And then the 100,000, what is currently in the budget described as, grant match. But we could put that $100,000 that was going to go towards minimal parking lot improvements towards the larger design and engineering effort for the parking lot and the RV park. And with the, turn this, with the anticipation of a large influx of parking in lieu funds in the next year, and the possibility that we could go back for another WIF grant, as long as we have a larger match and we make it clear that the WIF funds are going to go towards not just parking lot, but also boat ramp and dock improvements. That's what they want to put that money towards. And it was made very clear to us by the Department of Parks and Rec that we should apply again next year. But they want to see an application that focuses more on the boat ramps, boat parking, and docks, because that's what that money's for. We'll get it next year. We could ask for another 600,000 to put towards those components, but we need to bring more to the pot for the parking lot itself, and we'll have more next year because the hotel will be underway. Does that make sense?
Any other questions, Eric or?
Lori, yeah, but, and you're not really briefed on what we're talking about.
Okay.
It seems like a little bit of a waste of money to me. $100,000 towards planning when we should already have a plan. I don't know. It completely seems like a waste of money to me. To be honest with you, it seems crazy. I mean, we should already have a parking lot plan, but maybe I'm naive on how it works. I don't know. Like, I feel like that can be used so much more wisely. $100,000 than just putting it towards plans and engineering when the thing has been engineered several times. We've talked about it so many times. I don't know. To me, it seems like a completely waste of money.
Yeah, can I ask you to talk about the difference between like a conceptual plan and an engineering plan?
I guess, and it depends on what the goal is. If the goal is you're going to just resurface what's exactly there and restripe it exactly as there, that's not $100,000. Your survey might run you 15 and your redesign plans there. I mean, it's not really a redesign, you're just calling out a section, so that's, I mean, you're probably spending 20 grand on that thing. If you're addressing your stormwater grading calculations, landscaping, any new parking lot lighting, any reconfiguration of parking to provide more boat stalls, you gotta look at different circulation patterns, you gotta run turning movements for, boat and a trailer, and how are they gonna get around? And you're looking at roundabouts, or you're looking at connections with the RV park like you described. Those are all just different scenarios that do 15, 20 of those, you're gonna keep one at the end of it. So it's just time and energy, and you're gonna bounce those off staff, you're gonna bounce those off probably this commission, get lots of feedback.
And just to clarify, Eric, we do not have any detailed engineering plans for City Beach. We have 2 or 3 fuzzy watercolor paintings of what an artist think could be done there. Nothing even anywhere remotely close to going out to bid to get a contractor to build. You can't take one of those watercolors and hand it to Woods Crushing Holland and say, hey, go build this. So
You might not like what you get.
whether we do a simple tear out and resurfacing of the asphalt, or we do, something like including a bus stop and shade trees and stormwater treatment, we don't have anything close to what we would need to do either of those right now. So if the scope is just tear out the asphalt and resurface it, like Dan said, that might only be $15,000 to $20,000 for engineering and design. But if we want to do something special down there and, accommodate spot buses, include shade trees, include new signage, include actual stormwater treatment, so we're not putting, surface water directly into the lake, it's going to require either now or in the future up to $100,000 of engineering. It's not just another concept we're talking about, is what I'm saying. It's an actual bid ready pitch of engineer drawings ready to go.
And that would establish a budget amount, not a contract amount. Generally, most of those contracts are time and materials. Many cases, most jurisdictions don't do a lump sum, like, oh, you're gonna pay us 100 and we're gonna do 20 work. Like typically it's invoiced by the hour, so you have a not to exceed limit, but towards that 100 grand rather than just a lump sum.
So in an effort to make sure we have enough time for our special guest, I would like to move on from this topic. And since there's no vote, I think that it'd be wise if anybody has follow-up thoughts to follow up directly with Jason, it sounds like, on this.
Sure.
And my little 2 cents would just be like, if we're gonna go for this, to do it right and use the money wisely, just tearing it out and replacing it doesn't seem appropriate, in my opinion, given the hotel and all the problems we know about.
And it may
down
not set us up for success with the grant,
grant.
if the grant is specific to the boats and you need to show like more parking for the boats or that kind of
The
thing.
boat area is very unsafe right now. It's just as a
For all
boat,
involved,
for
as a
all involved.
voter and a non-voter, it's terrifying to walk through there.
it's just an accident waiting to happen. And I think you
Absolutely.
could emphasize that in your grant materials
Yeah.
that, that
Safety.
safety
Yeah.
is something we're looking at and considering, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I think then we move on to, or did you have more parks project updates?
That's it for projects until we get to the next agenda item, which I have some,
Okay.
that's parks projects related too. That's why.
Yeah, and it's just a quick recap. I listened to the meeting from last month and there was something about, there was a survey gonna be done about the art on the basketball courts. Did that happen?
We haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
No, that's not a high priority right now with the budget season.
Sure.
Our budget hearings a week from tonight, so it's been very busy.
And was that something you were taking on, or is Josh taking that on? Did I understand?
What was mentioned in the meeting last
I
time?
was multitasking when I was re-listening to it and I learned I was the chairwoman for this meeting. And so I remember noting that there was something happening. Josh, do you recall?
I don't-
Were you-
Yeah, I don't know of any official survey that we were gonna send out, but I think Joel and I were just gonna get some feedback on whether or not it was gonna be an issue for, for more of the regular people that use these basketball courts. And so far I haven't heard any negative feedback regarding it. It was kind of a neutral response from the people I've talked to. So I don't know if Joel has more input on that, but yeah, I think it was just kind of one of those things where we were gonna feel it out.
Okay, and so we could leave that open for another month of feeling it out. And if any other commissioners have any other convos, like I have a pretty good relationship with basketball school Sandpoint. Has anybody asked him?
That's who I've been dealing with too, yeah.
Oh,
That's-
gotcha.
Yep.
And does he have any interest in sponsoring some of those rims and hoops that you guys wanted that the art can't fund?
I don't think he does at this time, no.
All right, so if there's no other parks updates, then I think we'll move on to Ross Hall.
Do you want to hear an update from Ryan about operations? at the
Oh,
sports
perfect. Yeah.
Quickly, one thing Jason has also done is we've ordered a rubber/plastic mat system that we could cover one tennis court with. That will be here very shortly. And to your guys' point about multi-use and things like that, that's gonna give us some options in there to do. The cornhole tournament we had would certainly work on that surface. So that is also something that is headed this way. We have interviewed some volunteer coordinators to help us roll out the volunteer program. That is in process. We had a very robust tennis season last minute and was very well received by parents and kids. They have been ringing the phone off the hook saying, why isn't it continuing? And I have to sadly tell them my coaches have to go back to school. But they are both on for potentially doing some winter break stuff and then certainly coming back for next summer. And that is very good with the tennis kids. They have enjoyed that. And then lastly, Friday night, if you guys saw our posting on Facebook, we had 60 pickleball players in there. The building was absolutely packed. Super great feedback from that. And every other Friday night going forward is going to be pickleball, tennis, pickleball, tennis, pickleball, tennis. So it will be a social event. We'll mix up the format, but from the feedback we've received, everybody is already saying, where do I sign up? Because I don't want to be left out next week. And tennis will be the same thing. So that will be our first regular programming.
What was the structure of that? Like,
So what we did is we had, the building was a play up format. So winners moved up, losers stayed where they were. And so it was kind of a little mini
little challenge
competition.
board,
You had the top dogs were at the top, and when you got kicked off that, you had to go work your way back to the ladder. And then the other thing we did to keep that moving is we called the games after 11 minutes. So we gave a 2-minute warning, and at 11 minutes, that point was over because nobody would 14 courts would never finish at the same time, and you'd always be waiting. So it was just every 11 minutes, the call would go out, and everybody would either move up or stay and grab a quick drink and start playing again. And it was very well received.
And you had the PA system set up with the microphone for that, right?
Correct.
So you're
And we
like
had music
controlling it.
playing too, so
So
there,
this for all ages or just adults?
so right now it was just for adults, but there's no reason we couldn't start doing, as we get more pickleball kids
Mhm.
in the loop, I mean, the adults are the active ones right now, we could set up half of the building as a kid side, another half of the building as an adult side. I mean, there's so many options, but for right now, it was just a big test to see what actual 14 pickleball courts going at the same time was. And is a little chaotic, but that's what that building is designed for, is controlled chaos and having fun, and everybody certainly had a ton of fun. So a lot of momentum coming. It's been warm in there these days. When it's 90 out, it's 85 on the courts. And so I think these will be the 2 months that the afternoons are a little difficult in there. And then, but to the point about the noise in the park, as soon as the temperature cools down, that system will basically shut itself down, and we won't be needing to cool off the building in these mornings when it's been warm in there overnight. So lots of great momentum. We're really looking forward to launching a few big things once we get the stamp of approval from council on Wednesday on the fees. We'll have all of that stuff be published immediately. We'll release a newsletter and then just really gear up for the grand opening. So tons of good momentum. People are having fun. The building has been used a bunch, and then just having the kids in there every morning until 1 has just been really, really popular. And the park going outside with the splash pad, they're running back and forth. It's awesome. So
Tell us about the conversations you've had with some other sporting groups.
I have talked with soccer. We've had a conversation with Eric. We are looking at that. The strikers are also interested in time in there. A lot of people are interested. We had a allocation meeting with the fields, and football is very interested in doing, some passing drills, running plays, things like that before they can really get out on the fields or do things like that. So football's interested in time, soccer's interested in time. We're booking the cornhole tournaments. Like, people saw those pictures from that cornhole tournament, and they're like, I want that this winter, because it was such a cool space for that with the community room. So we measured out the walking track, so we know exactly what that is. And I am presenting to a group next week to bring that kind of walking group back in there, that will be able to utilize that all winter long for walking laps in a safe place behind those curtains we've got. So lots of momentum on that. We'll see what happens with the timing. The court reserve will give me a really cool allocation of each court, so we know how much it's being used, and that will be a great opportunity to go, hey, these courts aren't being used from these windows. Soccer, football, are you interested in these times? That type of thing. So having that data will help me share with you guys what's actually happening out there. More than I see a lot of people, it will actually be a tracked data point that will give us a lot more ability to look at downtimes that we can schedule for. So all that will launch at the end of the month.
Which is the new app you're talking
Yeah, for
about?
reserve.
Court Reserve.
And effective a week from tomorrow, there will be no more daily play fees, right?
As long as we get that.
Yeah.
That stamp, yeah. So
Yeah.
the new membership profile will eliminate that. That was the biggest pain point that I heard from people walking in there. People felt like they were nickel and dimed, and why am I paying a membership fee and then paying daily fees? And those change and this changes. So we just made it really simple, and people are very excited about that, and are looking forward to just coming in once they're a member and using the facility when they want. So.
And so you can also pay in cash or check, or you can pay on the app.
So the app will allow you to do that. We are planning to eliminate cash. That it will be hard for our volunteers. And I don't think the city has an appetite too for having a bunch of volunteers handling cash in there. So we'll look at the structure, and there may be a business time, a 9 to 5, where we have the ability to take cash during, certain windows or things like that. But at this point, the cash is such a small amount and such a big amount of labor and problems that if we can just do everything with the Court Reserve app, which is super easy, people will be able to tap or use a card or use their phone at the counter. But eliminating cash is on the table right now.
And I think at one point in time, we had just asked for like monthly financials to be shared, like, I don't know if that's still of interest to anybody in the group, but Are you able to produce any type of?
I am. I need Cammie's help because the monthly financials in the system we use right now are interesting. So we could talk about that, but the core reserve will be super easy. I can just see right there and I could even give somebody on this council access to that, you know, and you guys could look at that, but it will track all of that very, very easily on a daily basis. The rec track reporting, I haven't spent time in that because I've been looking for a new option and it will be super easy once we launch that to see both those utilization and revenue benchmarks.
Sure, yeah, no pressure, but there may be people in this room who have the ability to look at those and also provide feedback, because it does seem like there is a time frame that we're testing out.
Certainly.
Yeah, so. Okay, any other questions on JER? Okay. So with that, it sounds like we are going to move on. And we will hear from Ross Hall on a potential for collaboration with the city on the Ponderay Bay Trail and discussion.
Hey, I'm honored to be here to see how the city is going on, and those pictures up there, I was looking at them, those are 90 years ago. Here you are, you're carrying on. And then to have somebody like the city hire somebody like Brian on for decades, but to get someone of that capability, just gonna bust it, man. Just
You know someone who took those pictures, right?
I think so. So Ryan called me a couple of days ago and says, hey, stop by. Because we went for a little walk down the Ponderay Bay Trail. And he said, come on over. So I think you can give a little insight, but.
Would you like me to kind of introduce it for you and then
Yeah,
get your
why,
thoughts?
yeah, why don't you?
Okay, so Ross reached out to me right at the turning point of the Ponderay Bay Trail from the parking lot down there. There's a small corner of land that Ross and his family used to own. But that was something he was interested in developing a little bit for an interpretive park. The other reason for that is that slope that the trail drops down to kind of the grade there at the lake doesn't really meet ADA requirements for people to get in there and whatnot. And it would not be hard because the parking lot in that area is very crowned. And if it was lowered down and a ADA compliant ramp was built in there, then you would have a little bit better ADA access.
That's too severe right now,
Yep.
is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Right. And so, in conjunction with that, developing that area, and I will let him explain, his conversation with the Ponderay tribe and that type of thing. But I will add one more point that I haven't been able to talk to you about, Ross, is that, the city of Ponderay I'm on the commission that, was designing the tunnel that was gonna go out to Ponderay, and part of that is mitigation of black rock. So a lot of the funding was going to come from that. And so they are going to potentially start that project in the fall. They wanted to do the tunnel and the black rock at the same time because they wanted to bring material in and out of that tunnel. It looks like they're going to have to push back the tunnel project due to trains and all of that stuff a little bit more, but they want to go ahead and move ahead with the black rock mitigation. They likely will bring material in and out of this part of the Ponderay Bay Trail. So Kaylee said, Ryan, don't do anything now because we're just gonna drive big machines through there, whatever. So there will likely be money available to the city of Sandpoint for mitigation after, this project is complete. So the timing is probably great to start that discussion. And then as soon as they finish that project, we would be able to do that. So Ross, I'll let him share his ideas for what that piece of ground would look like, because he has been talking to some of the tribes and that type of thing and that, so.
Yeah.
And just what we passed around a minute ago was, this is a concept commissioned, I think, by the Friends of the Ponderay Bay Trail
Oh,
in
yeah.
2017.
That's
So
right.
this is about 8 years old now. There's two sides to it. One shows kind of a conceptual redesign of the parking lot in its current footprint to increase the number of spaces and achieve better ADA compatibility down to the trail. And then on the other side is an expansion of the parking lot that requires relocating the fence to the water treatment plant there to open up like a whole other row of parking. I think there's 26 parking spaces in that one. Currently, we have at max 11 parking spaces there. So the context for the city's parks department here is like, you know, we haven't heard from TEQ and Ponder in a while about when they're going to do that mitigation of Black Rock, but I imagine there's going to be money for restoration of the access. So maybe in a couple of years, this isn't going to be a 2026 project. We know that money's all allocated at this point, but maybe in a couple of years, this could be a project that we can partner with friends, Ponderay Bay Trail on. Maybe they can do some grant writing, City of Ponderay, DEQ, their parks capital improvement funds. This could be a project we do in a couple of years. It's important to start talking about these things, and the fact that it's already been explored by the friends, you know, a decade ago.
And the other area that we walked is actually the area between the pathway and the lake. So it's not really in this design, but what Ross is going to talk about is that section between where the pathway goes down and the lake shore. So that's the property that he's doing, and I'm sure he'll also mention Rotary. So
Oh, and I invited Katie here from Connecticut Land Trust because she's been working on a master planning effort with the city of Sandpoint, with Ponderay, with Dover, with all the different cities for a water trail. This could become a water trail access point
perfect.
for that, for Ponderay Bay.
So a couple housekeeping items. Josh and Eric, can you see the document that's being handed around?
I'll send it to them.
Yeah, maybe we'll email that so you can see.
I think, is that the one that Cami provided a link to?
I don't.
I
haven't seen
provided
this
a link
document.
to that Ponderay Bay Trail Master Plan, which is on the
Yeah.
website. In
Okay.
that document online, but it's what they're passing around is specifically a map
Okay, gotcha.
from it.
Sounds like Jason will email it to you quickly.
I
So
don't think this is.
Perfect, thank you.
yeah, it's the first I had seen of it. And then the other thing is just on that note, there is a Teams folder and I don't know how many of us are using it, but Cami was just curious if everybody in here has access to it or knows how to get into it. And if you do or don't, to follow up with her after this meeting, because from time to time we'll dump documents into it and they're just, you know, fresh at your fingertips versus digging back for 2010 Parks and Rec master plans, but they're a resource for all of us, but they're not a discussion tool and there's no redlining. They're literally like a Dropbox.
Yeah, and
Did you send the link?
Dan, I just sent you and Lori a link to that today.
Saw lots of links. I did.
And you may struggle getting through access, like you have to, you know, gotta dig into it. So let Cami know if you struggle. And, okay. So,
Okay, yeah. Let me give just a moment of background because some of you may not know there was history called Jungle. You've heard it. But my parents bought that lakeshore property in 1961. They were so excited that it would be a real expression of the city and so on. Then the dams came in, eroded everything, and it's taken 35 years before the Army Corps of Engineers could put it all back together again. And they're very proud of it. They told me, they said, look, this is poster child now. We got so much heat from Katrina and everything else. This is our best project. So they really did a nice job. And so my dad in 1978, me a letter and say, I can't go any further. I'm 75 years of age. I can see the steps that are taken. So this has been my intense 40-year hobby. Okay, tracking it down, negotiating and so on. And so we're almost there. Folks. We're almost there. And a little hobby idea of mine that I've held all these years because I'm so acquainted with that property is with the Ponderay Indians. And picture there was 1934. Those were the Indian Olympics. 5 different tribes had come over and they set up the teepees and it was all the way down to this area right here. kids running around and doing all their things for 3 days. It's an awesome deal. And so I walked down there with a spokesperson for the Hungry Indians, and we stepped into this little area there. I thought it was just kind of left over. But she turned alive all of a sudden. She said, once we kind of captured the idea a little bit, she says, well, those are the camas plants there. And those are what we use all the time. And she made the whole thing alive. I said, wouldn't it be great? 100 front feet to just your tribe. And what happened this yesterday, I talked to Steve Gill. He's Idaho, watched over this for all these years, Black Rock, all of that kind of stuff. He says, hey, Ross, it's perfect working with the Indian tribe in Black Rock area. And we're going to do something together. And so we could tie this in. And back then, Steve, being the creative person he is, he says, we could do this, and extend here and all that, tie Monterey together with this. And so he was all alive and well. So what we'd really like to do is just give the authorization to go down on that city property of 100 feet and clean it up and start to sparkle a little bit. And then at the right time, bring the Indian representative down there, look at it again, it's a possibility. So all we need on that is just approval to go down there, take my guys down there and have it cleaned up and right. And so that's part one. And then part two is this guy right here. And again, I think Steve's saying, hey, we can get the money. And it's too steep for the wheelchairs, too slick in the winter.
Yeah.
We can get that little piece done. I think that. And so we'd like to have a few hours, I don't know how, to see if we can explore the idea of ADA funding and spend time with the state and Black Rock in to see if there's something that they'll do here also. Because it's all tied together in the trail. And so those are the two steps. Simple. Love to have authorization to clean that area up. City, been down there before, I've cleaned it up before, but this is formal. And incidentally, the seasons put a fence there and a gate and a key fob. So the people who live in seasons can go right through this property right here and jump on a trail. So a slight step, but it's a step. So we'd like to clean that up. And then we'd like to have somebody, a novice on these kind of things. And I'm representing the Rotary on this. Rotary has put together some money to assist on that. The first piece was 15 years ago that Rotary did. Yeah, no, 15 years ago. I don't, quite a time ago, but they did a nice job. So we have a little bit, we'd like to invest it to kind of trigger this a little bit more. So what would we like? We'd love to have a staff member look at this a little bit, the ADA funding and how that really works. And come back with some kind of preliminary that can be presented to somebody. That's what we'd like. I think onto just a major step. Tell you about so many things that have happened on that trail. It's a trail romance. It really is. Could tell you stories of people getting married down there and other aspects. But that's it on my end.
And you talked a little bit about the tribe would be interested in doing probably some interpretive signing, talking about the we just saw those wooden canoes in town.
Oh, yeah.
And all that, they would be able, and to Katie's,
Mhm.
if we had a water trail piece down there, you'd have some type of ability to launch there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think it's also important to know the Kalispell tribe is, they are a big partner in the water trail. And so we are identifying the meeting's actually next week to go through the full plan for all of the sort of version 1 stops that are ready for the water trail.
Really?
And we're coordinating with the historical museum and the tribe on creating the narrative that goes along. And so this is a trail that goes along all the shore of Lake Pend Oreille, all the way down to Bayview and up, and then all along the Pend Oreille River. And so there will be historical signage. And so the incorporation of that into this project is, makes total sense.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
So you've been working on that quite a bit, huh?
we've been working on that quite a bit on like public access and protecting public access, right of ways. Yeah,
For you.
so.
Yeah.
So Jason, could you speak to how he would obtain permission from the city of Sandpoint to do the cleanup work?
Well, what's the extent of the work you're talking about? Are you,
No,
you and one
2
other
days.
volunteer or a couple people going down there?
Well, I have a guy who would do it. It'd take 2 days.
Yeah. I mean, sort of written formal permission. If we bring it, there's like volunteer agreements and waivers we might want you to sign, but if it's just one person going down there doing cleanup, it's
Right.
probably not permission. It's
Well,
needed.
that'd be great. We've done it before.
What's the access like down to the shore there? Are you crawling over riprap or is there a little trail
There,
down there?
there is riprap above. It's a nice flat area in there.
Actually, the people that are using it from Seasons have just cut up their own little trail
Yeah.
that just merges right onto the Pend Oreille Trail, all on the same plane. I
So
mean,
from that little trail, how is it if you wanted to go down to the water? Is
well,
it-
you're right almost on the edge of the riprap.
You are.
So there's this small piece that curves with the trail that
Yeah.
there's a bunch of, trees in there, just kind of a little mini bum jungle that's, left
Yeah, it
over.
is. Forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the city owns the parking lot and then your property is the submerged parcel?
No, it's all owned by the city.
Yeah. It's all.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So,
Doesn't your family still own some of the
Not
land
at all.
north of there?
We sold it all to the city.
Oh, even further north in the Pend Oreille side?
Yes. So
Okay.
it was an amazing outburst of funding.
yeah, I remember like in 2011 or something, they bought the connector pieces, the
Yeah.
city. Yeah, I was on the commission at that time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Yeah, I've loved that trail since I
Oh,
moved
man.
here.
Well, there was a family in Montana that says, I love this project so much. We're gonna put $400,000 into it.
Yeah.
It just, it's just beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's the public access part is just phenomenal to look around the lake and still have somewhere to go as
Yeah.
person who can't afford a lakefront property.
Right.
So really appreciate,
Yeah.
having that access.
Yeah.
And I know that when the city bought it, that was, a lot of money at the time to them.
It
It
was.
was really important to have that connection piece. And it's cool to see the trail go
Mhm.
all the way through. So, the next piece then is two-parter.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that as well?
With regards to,
The ADA,
ADA.
oh.
like how the city could be involved with helping them, it sounds like
Yeah,
design
I
a
mean, this is
plan.
one of those projects that I actually did our CIP in the last couple of weeks, but I believe Pend Oreille Bay Trail had improvements as part of our.
Oh.
So the question is like, where do we want to put this on like the 5-year priority list? Is this a high priority? Understanding that the trade-offs are gonna be, a parking lot project like this, depending on how much grant match we get or how much contribution DEQ makes, or Pend Oreille Bay Trail can raise through fundraising and grant writing, like, there's another $500,000 project right there. Like, we budget for that over a couple of years, you know what I mean? Doing the parking lot, doing ADA access, doing maybe, if we do a boat launch, a non-motorized boat launch, that's gonna need to be ADA accessible as well. So when you start bringing in those standards, you're talking a lot of design, engineering, and construction goes into stuff like that. It's not as simple as just take some hand tools and building a little trail down to the water. It's a big project, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been identified ever that there would be like a long pier dock out there.
No.
Working for the IDL, I helped process the Black Rock
Yeah.
encapsulation permit. And I don't believe that they're rebuilding that dock. Last I saw, that dock was demolished and I think it's going away. And so that whole public access shoreline doesn't have a dock either. Like I personally have longed for a fishing pier dock
Right.
out there where you can get access to deep water. And as a fisherwoman, like I see the people out on the jetty getting hung up in the rocks and it'd be so cool to maybe even tie in like Fish and Game with some of the funding to talk about if there was in conjunction with they call them native boat launches, if they're not concrete, they can be native. But if there was something, also with a pier, even a fishing access and maybe with the tribe too, that they might have interest in that.
Definitely have in our CIP non-motorized boat launch. Now, there's been several ideas about where that could go. If you think about the place that a lot of people are currently launching stand-up paddleboards and kayaks, it's directly across from the Sandpoint Marina on the city, from that little city parking lot before you go into City Beach. You know exactly what we're talking about, because you always see people down there like carrying their subs down, and it's just like there's no good place. That's probably like the most obvious place to do a non-motorized boat launch in the near future. The more complicated and expensive location that's been contemplated is the Chamber of Commerce building on the way in on Highway 2. That would probably be like parking lot improvements. You need ADA access down. That's like 20 feet or something, or at least 10 feet from where the parking lot elevation is to the water. Way more expensive, way more complicated. Also, there's not good pedestrian access to that from town. So we probably want to put an attached, pedestrian pathway from the chamber location through ITD right of way. Very complicated, very expensive project. But something like this it's not obviously not Sand Creek non-motorized boat launch, but currently, I mean, Ponderay Bay is a beautiful place to kayak or take stand-up paddleboards, but there's no easy access to it from either side. So this could be a place where we could say, look, we're doing the non-motorized boat access that we've promised in our parks plans for a long time. We maybe combine it with this parking lot improvement and ADA access down to the trail as well. So that's kind of how I look at this project, is how do we like fulfill visions from our parks plan that we've had in there. Maybe it's pivoting that a little bit to a different location, but also finding this, we've got the tribal component, we've got the water trail component, we've got the bay trail component. There's a lot of different synergies here. So I guess the question for me to the commission is this something we should put on our like 2 to 3 year plan, or is this further?
I think that it would, for me, depend on, it sounds like you have some funding available. So, I mean, it could be interesting to hear more about the funding available versus like the
Right.
city having to budget for it, because I think those are two different things.
Yeah,
And
partnership that can bring,
the funds to make it.
this is another one of those watercolors. This doesn't get us anywhere. It's a nice, but this was done in an afternoon on a computer. But the engineering that goes into this now is a several month process. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars probably before we can implement anything.
Yeah,
I think your biggest start is with DEQ and the,
Yeah, I should touch base with Steve Gill and see what the time frame is on that.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 2 or 3 years ago that they came to city council, said, we're doing it. We're gonna
Yeah.
be driving down the Bay Trail
Well,
this year. And
there
then it
is
got
like
delayed,
a,
and it got delayed.
I think
it's
there's an
happening now.
IDL permit
Next year?
issued for it.
This year,
Yes, they expect by December.
Yeah,
this year.
yeah, there's
This year.
funds that had to be
It's kind
spent.
of what Katie told her.
Yeah.
They've got all the.
It was
things in place.
yeah. And find out what money there is to rehab, to put that money together with other funding.
Yeah.
The
So-
other thing is to think about too, like that trail system, like the forestry component of it. And when I was kind of trying to briefly read, like the documents can be uploaded into here, it talks a lot about like the vegetation and like, so that's really thick in there. And you could potentially tie that into making that just more enjoyable, and it'd be a better forest
Right.
with a different canopy if you did some forestry work in there along the entire section. And I'd love to see that kind of tied in with the project if it were going to be, this whole trail system.
There's so much. But what we're talking about now is just potential for collaboration. So if we could touch Steve Gill, whatever we have here, to this kind of funding and just together in a 1-pager or 2-pager saying, hey, here's where we are.
So does it sound like it's something the city would host a meeting, or he would host a meeting?
Well, I'm gonna reach out to Steve Gill
Yeah.
And see what their timeline is for doing that project and then get him in here for a meeting.
That'd be great. You work with Steve quite a bit.
Not quite,
Oh,
He
okay.
was on the waterfront design
Yeah.
committee.
and I have seen.
Yeah,
that.
catch him now. He's gonna retire soon. So he's running fast. He knows where everything is.
Mhm. Josh, did you have any comments or any questions?
No, I'd just like to hear more about it. It sounds like a great opportunity and something that I'd be interested in. Obviously need to hear more details, but yeah, let's get the ball rolling on this.
Yeah, I see a lot of heads nodding yes. I mean, I don't see anybody. on the
When we
commission-
did that survey initially, when we first joined again last year, I anything waterfront was top priority for me. I mean, to me, that's what.
Access, yeah.
That's what this
Access to the
community,
water.
just anything we have that gets people to the water, enjoy the water, the view of the water, or getting in it. To me, that's
Yes.
what makes our community unique. And that I see that will always be my North Star as a commissioner and as a
That's
resident
beautiful
here.
phrase.
I think that's what makes this town. So,
Yeah, it seems like we're
yeah,
like
any
very
project,
in support.
any project that integrates anything like that, to me, I would prioritize over other, parks and other things.
And not that you want to compete with yourself, but with the WIF grant team is really interested in these public access spots.
I've looked into WIF grants for non-motorized boat access though.
No.
Nope.
But you may,
RTP,
Oh, yeah.
or fishing game.
Recreation Trails
So
Program.
for,
So water trails are eligible for Recreation Trails Program funds, and you can get up to $120,000 from an RTP grant, and that would make a dent on project.
Yeah, totally.
So what's the match on requirement?
20%.
You may want to, there's a Pete Rust who's been doing the fishing game access point out at,
yeah.
in the,
At the,
the Delta, the Pack River Delta and the Clark Fork Delta, and he's connected to resources of money as well. Where he's getting all that money, but
he says it's done.
that it's done. Yeah.
That is done. But he'd be a great person that could speak.
Pick his brain. At Idaho fishing game, and I just can't keep thinking about like the fishing access alone, like even like ice fisher people, if you fix the parking lot and had a nice access, you could walk out there and fish in the winter.
It might go in tandem. We're working on a Two Rivers project with Priest River with the Kalispell tribe as well, with fishing piers and historical signage. So all of this is like, it all works sort of synergistically, as,
Yeah.
doing it at the same time.
So should we put on the agenda for next month, that we would have an update?
Yeah, I'm
And-
gonna reach out to Steve Gill and see if I can get an update. Maybe we
Great.
can back with some more information next month. This is like the first time we've talked about
Beautiful.
this in any
Sure,
detail here. So
yeah. And that's what I'm asking, because I know we're supposed to kind of indicate now what we'd like on the agenda for next month.
Yeah.
And if.
And certainly if DEQ is doing that cleanup this year.
Yeah.
We need to know obviously from city because we have to manage that access point. But that also, is a little bit of a nudge to us to like get to work on a plan here. Because if there is gonna be any money for rehabilitation of the trailhead, we'd probably rather go towards something that is compatible with what we want to do there.
Yep.
Not just putting rocks back where.
You can public records request the permit for the IDL for that parcel, and it gives the time, it has like all the documents linked to it, like, and the timeline, and it would have a permit sunset date,
Has it
but,
been bid out?
I'm not quite sure about that. Like who's doing the actual work, but I saw the engineering drawings and I know the encapsulation piece and like what you talked about, the trail and,
Right.
and I knew that there was money that there was an urgency. Mhm. And that could have been Steve, I can't remember offhand, but. But Ross, how busy are you these days? Like, would you want to come back to another meeting?
I'm available.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just keep you informed about if that will work for next month. And you could,
And I'd like to put my guy to work. Cleaning up or. You could do that.
Yes.
sounds like,
When you say cleanup, what is the cleanup that's needed? Is it? Lots debris, garbage?
Yeah.
Needles? No,
Yeah.
no needles.
Just,
Okay.
well, I mean, just trimming up the base of some of those trees
Oh, yeah.
that just exploded.
I'll give Austin, my parks guy, a heads up and see if he has any concerns with
We're
that.
good.
But
Yeah.
I know people want a dock so bad down there that they tied
dock.
one up last year.
Cool.
And I had to like enforce removal of said dock, but I kept being tied up.
Yeah.
So I could see the people fishing on it and just using it. And you know, you just think about,
Be so cool.
right,
Yeah,
A little
absolutely.
dock you can swim just above or launch a boat from.
Take a long walk down the Ponderay Bay Trail and then jump
Jump.
off the dock.
Oh,
Before you get back to the car.
yeah, and maybe like closer, like further away from Black Rock than
Yeah.
like closer to it. Like when I learned about Black Rock, like I used to pull my boat up to that dock and
Did
swim
you?
off of it. Like I didn't really know from not growing up here. And then we were like, oh my gosh, like that's wild. Like, you know, like we'll swim over there. So
Man, that's,
they didn't have it very well signed like that dock. You
No.
just kind of, you know, people are
Yeah.
fishing and eating the fish off it. Like,
Jumping platforms for the kids.
yeah.
And bridges, like
is that right?
all that.
Gwen, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is there any coordination with the city of Ponderay on what they're doing on their end? Like, city of Sandpoint owns what, the first 300 feet of this trail? And this, I'd be surprised if this parking lot fit there. And so we could do all this stuff, but we're only gonna be limited by parking there forever. So if we put a boat launch here, like, is the city of Ponderay putting a boat launch, you know, another 1,000 feet down the
Well,
trail?
ultimately, the
Is there-
tunnel will be like a new.
And that's a
city
long
beach
ways
up there.
away.
That's a long ways.
Yeah.
away. So, but yes, so the parks plan for the city of Ponderay is that, you know, field. That is the access point because they have to actually drop a lot of grade to get down.
Feel they're behind.
Yeah, Harbison. So there's a little bandstand out there now, and that's where they're having the Ponderay Days and things like that. So that they've secured all the property they need on their end. The biggest thing is just the engineering of going tracks because you know what the
Sure.
railway is like, and so that's where I think they're hung up a little bit, and then the funding because they lost the 1%. So now that was part of their funding
Yeah.
mechanism for that as well. So they need to kind of get their ducks back in row a little bit. And I think the urgency with the BlackRock was now we need to get this project done, and so that's why they divided them both off. But they will ultimately have a lot of parking and a lot of access at that end too. But I see this side for the city of Sandpoint being used all the time as well, just with how many people use City Beach and all that, and especially if it's part of a water trail. That would be a hot stop on a water
Mhm.
trail.
And remind us, that is paid parking that got approved for this lot too?
Probably, I mean, I'd feel a lot better rolling out paid parking if we had a nice parking lot there. On the other hand, paid parking is how we get a nice parking, because if that
Yeah.
parking lot makes 50,000 a year, that's
Yeah.
50,000 we can put towards parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you pay for parking lot improvements,
Right.
ultimately.
Did you have any other
It's
questions?
just making sure the two entities are talking to each other, like, sounds like it, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I follow what's going on.
Yeah.
Speak to Caitlin on occasion, and I just know that there, without the local option tax, there's no forward progress.
Who is the Parks and Rec person at City of Palm?
Caitlin,
Kaylee,
Kaylee.
okay.
she's
And
also
her,
the planning director,
Mhm,
she's also public works director.
Okay,
she's
yeah.
all the-
And her,
Does
fam-
everything.
she has family things right now to help.
Does she?
So, yeah, just FYI.
Just need 3 more voters in Monterey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna have.
Couple people just need to move over there and then.
That last time it wasn't particularly close. though.
Was it?
It was like.
Well, they
50%,
had 50, almost exactly 50%, they need 60.
just shy of.
And we had 50.3. That's how close we got. So we weren't close either.
Demographic shift may not be in their favor. Are people moving that have been from
Sounds
higher
like we-
tax climates and don't wanna, they're moving to a low tax climate.
Under district.
Incorporate, merge.
Exactly.
Are you all aware of the big vote you'll have to make this November in Sandpoint? On.
Oh, yes. No, I don't need to make it. Yeah.
Did you get you didn't get the survey?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Survey says damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You either approve the bond and your rates go up, or you don't approve the bond and your rates go up.
Yeah.
okay, that sounds lovely. I read that even. I have a city of Sandpoint. Okay, so Ross, did you have any more thoughts? Have we answered your questions? Sounds like we'll follow up with you in a month. and we have it
I
back.
just love the talent around this table. And we'll get done whatever we need to get done. It's gonna be the class, the entire West. It is.
I love it.
It sounds like this commission, the Parks Commission, is interested in putting this pretty high on a priority list for the next few years. So
We love it.
we'll Keep it on the
Okay,
radar.
do commission members have any additional questions or comments? I think now would also be a time to think about next meeting, and if you had any agenda items for next meeting that you're thinking about. While you think about that, one housekeeping item is just, there is the ability to sign up on the City of Sandpoint's website for these like meeting opt-ins. Could you, we're just reminding folks that they can
Mhm.
do that. And if you need help on that, let Cami know. I've done it. It sends you reminders for when this meeting is. It sends you reminders for when city.
Press releases,
Press
other
release.
commissions, anything else you might be interested in.
Right, that emails you the agendas and it's a handy tool for.
And it takes one more thing out of this list.
We want to keep her around and happy. And is there any going away type of anything for Maeve scheduled?
As far as her, well, so she's in Colorado at conference right now. Last day would be September 30th.
September 30th.
Yeah, so I'll definitely invite her to the next meeting so she can,
Yeah, and if we wanted to do anything,
yeah,
we could
yeah. She'll be at the ribbon cutting as well.
on October 4th.
Yes, Striders.
Okay. So folks, any agenda items, any?
I got it 4 o'clock. I gotta run. Sorry.
Thanks,
Okay.
Ryan.
Nice work.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Brian. Tonight.
Have we gone through like a summary of like the rate increases just for like the park system, or were those just like inflationary or what?
For the,
Just like fields, picnic shop,
Not-
whatever, like.
not in this group, that those were presented a couple weeks ago to council with our budget, with our fees. Yeah, basically some parks fees are going up. I have to share with this body. Some are, yeah, I guess the big ones are, field use reservations are going up about 20% across the board for fields.
Whether artificial or natural.
But that's not true in all cases because we're simplifying things as well. We got this visitor team fee, which Cami can tell you what a nightmare it is. Teams are supposed to count the number of athletes who aren't Sandpoint residents, and then we charge like based on how many players in the game or don't live in Sandpoint or something. So we simplified it. We went to like, let's say it's like $20 to reserve a field for practice. It's $40 to reserve a field for game. So there's gonna be 2 teams playing in a game, but actually you can't play a game with just 1 team. So we simplified it dramatically. It doesn't matter if it's visiting team or a Bonner County area team. That was just something we determined would be a lot easier. And the transparency so teams know how much. The big change we made also was for ticketed events. We're requiring ticketed events, not including the festival, to estimate their attendance before season, not before they make the reservation. This is specifically focusing on high school football. They have historically reported their year's attendance at the end of the season or sometimes months after the season ended. Then they pay $2 per ticket that they say was sold. We know pretty well how many people attend each high school football game. So we've set up like a tiered fee schedule. So basically every high school football game is going to pay X amount. And in some games, attendance will be low, some games will be high, but on average, we'll get about $2 per ticket, and they'll be a lot easier again from an accounting perspective. So they'll reserve and indicate at the time of reservation how much their attendance is going to be. Basically, it's 1,500 and up. Ticket. And we know that they get around 2,000. Those are kind of the big changes.
How about mortgage rates and any research done on mortgage rates?
Mortgage rates didn't go up despite inflation, except for the visitor mortgage that went up to like market rates. Those were way low. It's like $25 went up to 35 or something. So 20-foot slip. And that's for like, you can stay overnight in your boat.
In the past, this commission did look at those and we were kind of like more included in those discussions. And I think that would be smart moving
Yeah.
forward
Yeah,
to
we can do
be
that.
more included.
Sure.
So
Do mortgage rates get, and we can talk about this another time too, but do mortgage rates get specifically targeted to harbor infrastructure, or does it just go into the big pot? Parks goes.
I wish it would. My goal would be for, each park facility to pay for its own maintenance and improvements. But mortgage is around 60 to 70% of our capital improvement fund for all parks. So mortgage customers are definitely like subsidizing parks improvements outside. the arena.
But then if you're not covering the replacement of the harbor when it needs to get
Exactly.
replaced, they're not.
That's why I'm asking the state for $600,000 to upgrade our. Ideally, like facilities would fund themselves, right? That's been the mandate from council with the sports center, is we have been told the sports center needs to fund itself. Well, we don't say any other city facilities need to fund themselves. The Memorial Field is about $50,000. That's another reason we raised Memorial Field rates. We made 95,000 last year. We spent 145,000 maintaining it. So Memorial Field loses the city $50,000 a year. That's not ideal. We're subsidizing sports for all the community, which is fine. Cities are supposed to subsidize sports for a community, but a 20% increase is going to narrow that gap slightly. We'll probably be at like 105,000 revenue, 100.
So the health insurance goes up or something.
Yeah. So, but the marina is by far the most like profitable facility in the city, but we all know that we're not really investing what we should be in the marina. There's a lot of things we could do. We could have gated access. We could have, replace some of those old splintered wood docks with the concrete docks. So,
I would also argue that they're not the going mortgage rates,
oh, they're well below market.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's interesting when we.
Well,
have the
and also like,
opportunity.
again, you tell that to a mortgage customer, Josh.
There's
not Taylor.
plenty more coming.
I know. And they're like,
The waiting list is,
I know the waiting list is long.
Yeah.
We could raise them.
and as we apply for.
Hold on a second now.
Yeah, Josh, come on, speak up, buddy.
So I'm obviously biased as a mortgage customer myself, but we're talking about access to the water, right? We could raise the rates probably 300% and we'd fill up that marina. Okay. We're going to fill it up with people that maybe use their boats 2 weeks out of the year and they're getting a great deal. This is the last place available for people to have affordable access to the water with their boat. So when I go down there, I see a 1985 pontoon boat. I see an old sailboat. I see a lot of people that they don't have fancy wakeboard boats. This is their access to the lake. So, that's just my thought on it. I like that it doesn't have gated access. It's not a premier mortgage ship. If somebody wants that, they can go to several other marinas and get the top of the line. So that's just my thought on it.
And they'll have wait lists too.
Yeah, the other meeting's all with us too. Thank you, Ross, for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Ross.
Family's done.
Inspirational.
I totally appreciate that, Josh. I'm
Yeah.
not in any hurry to like bring those rates up to market rates. I think it's totally reasonable that and they're not even subsidized. They fully cover their costs right now. So it's not like we're losing. I mean, like I said, it's already very profitable. In my opinion, like the concept of using mortgage to do parks improvements across the system is something I'd like to move away from, but that's really challenging too, because we don't have any other profitable parks. So, and that's what our ordinance says, like the Parks Capital Improvement Fund is mortgage, RV park, and revenues from all the other fields and facilities that we use. So, or that we provide. So we're lucky to have that. It could disappear someday. We could see a council reallocate all that to the general fund, and then there's really no money dedicated for parks. It's threat. So thankful to have what we have. And then when you put that towards grants, I mean, we saw this year, we put $600,000 of park CIP towards $600,000 grant, got a $1.2 million playground out of it. Same thing with the improvements at Memorial Field boat launch. That was all grant matched as well. $350,000 of WIF funds paid for that. So fortunately, unlike streets, there's quite a bit of grant money for sidewalks. There's really no grant money for streets though. Parks, like we can turn every dollar into $2 pretty easily in the Parks Department. So protecting that Parks Capital Improvement Fund really means over the years, we're going to get bang for our buck when we go for those grants and multiply those funds. I mean, this year we're turning $50,000 into $1 million. It's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome, Matt.
Yeah.
Good work.
Maybe the next lot needs to include a little bit for parks.
I don't disagree. You'll have a chance next May to vote on another lot.
Maybe it needs more things for more people, just all roads.
Yeah.
Okay. With no further business before the commission then, this meeting is now adjourned at 3:52 PM.
Nice work, Gwen.
You. I got that document. Okay.